Okay, linear equations, equations of lines. Let's get into it. First thing you need to remember, vertical lines have undefined slope, and horizontal lines have a slope of 0. Okay, just a friendly reminder. Okay, so now let's talk about vertical lines. What is the equation of a line that goes through point -3, -4, and -3, 3? And of course it's vertical. So, well, not quite what I wanted. Okay, so we have this vertical line and we need to figure out what is the equation. So right away, I'm just gonna let you guys know, vertical lines have an equation that's gonna be x equals a number, okay? So that's really all you need to know about that. The number is basically where does it cross the x-axis. So in this case, this thing crosses the x-axis right here at, what's that, -3. All right, so that's going to be x equals -3. The way you can remember this is that it crosses the x-axis. So crosses x-axis at -3, okay? What is the equation of a line that is parallel to the one from problem A but goes through point 2, 0? All right, so we need to go through, point 2, 1, excuse me. So 2, 1 is right there, and it needs to be parallel to A, or the first line that we drew, so it also needs to be vertical, and there you go. So similarly to the first one, we know that it's going to be x equals because it crosses the x-axis, and it crosses the x-axis right here at 2. Do you see that? 1, 2. So that means this is going to be x equals 2. Okay. Now, real quick, I want you to note that both of these, the 3 here, the -3, notice that that's also the x value for both of those. That's not by coincidence. Oops. That is not by coincidence. All right. Also note that this 2 is also the x value here. All right, moving on to the next one. What is the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the one from problem A but goes through point 2, 4? So let's look for point 2, 4. That's way up here. 2 to the right, 4 up. All right, and now we need it to be perpendicular. Hope you know perpendicular lines make 90-degree angles. So this, you know what, I give up. So this line is horizontal because it's perpendicular to the vertical line. So now, what is the equation? Well, this time it doesn't cross the x-axis, but as you can see, if I kept the y-axis going up like that, it definitely crosses the y-axis. And where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses at 4. So since it crosses the y-axis at 4, we're going to write y equals 4 as the equation. Okay, and that is that. So again, you're looking for where it crosses an axis. And this is only true for vertical and horizontal lines. And last thing I want you to note is that the y value was 4 and it was y equals 4. See what's happening there? Great. Horizontal lines. All right, so for these, we have -4, -2, and we have -3, +2. Oh, I did that all wrong. -4, -2, sorry about that. And 3, -2. Brain fart. Okay, so we got these two like so, like that, and they make a line. All right, what is the equation of a line that goes through the points? Same thing that we just did on part C for vertical lines. Where does this intersect the y-axis? The y-axis, right there. At, what is that? -2, right? We had to go down. So that's -2. So that's going to be, since it crosses the y-axis, it's y equals, and then that was -2. All right, and that is that. So now, just note that This is a negative 2, and so is this. That is not by accident. Okay, and let me make that, okay. What is the equation of a line that is parallel to the one from problem A but goes through 2, 3? Okay, so now we're going to go through 2, 3. So 2 up 3, and we want it to be parallel. Okay, so now we have this line, and we need the equation. So where does this line intersect? It intersects the y-axis, first of all. So I'm going to start by writing y equals, because it intersects the y-axis. And where does it intersect? It intersects at, looks like 3. 1, 2, 3, yep. That's where it goes through the y-axis. So right there, that's 3. So that's going to be y equals 3. And as I've said before, that's no coincidence, because there's a 3 right there in the y spot, or in the y coordinate. Okay, next. What is the equation of a line that is perpendicular to the one from A, but it goes through 2, 1? So go over 2, up 1, boom. And it needs to be perpendicular, so it's vertical, boom. All right. Now this time, does it go through the y-axis? No, it goes through the x-axis. So this one's going to be x equals. And now where does it go through the x-axis? Right there at 2. On the x-axis, it goes through 2. So that's going to be x equals 2. And again, it is no coincidence, because we see that 2 is the x-coordinate of the point that is on this vertical line. Okay, moving on. Equation of a line through 2 points. Okay, so we've talked about horizontal and vertical lines. What about all the other types of lines? So now we have these 2 points. I'm going to go ahead and label them x1, y1, x2, y2. I know this is not a horizontal or vertical point because none of these numbers repeated. Now I'm going to find the slope. So just like I told you guys in the other video and in class, we are going to replace and erase. So I'm going to start by rewriting, and x2 minus x1, okay? And I'm actually going to use a different color so you can see the difference here. All right, so I'm going to use yellow, and now I'm going to erase y2 and replace it with y2, which was 2. I'm going to erase y1 and replace it with 17. I'm going to erase x2 and replace it with negative 12. I'm going to erase x1 and replace it with 6. All right, now what does that equal? Well, 2 minus 17 is negative 15. Negative 12 minus 6 is negative 18. Okay, you might be tempted to be like, oh, I'm done. But nope, this is not in simplest form. For one thing, I see a double negative. Let's get rid of that. And then the other thing, 15 and 18 are both divisible by 3. They're both multiples of 3. So I can divide both of these by 3. And then that will leave me with 5 over 6. That is my slope. Okay. So that's the slope. All right, moving on. Write in point slope form. So this is point slope form right here. So we're going to go ahead and fill in what we know. I'm going to rewrite everything exactly as it is in its regular original form, and then I'm going to erase and replace. So we have y1, which, let me zoom out so I can see it, was 17. We have the slope, or m, which is 5 over 6. And then we have x1, which was 6. All right, great. This step is complete. We replaced m, we replaced x1 and y1. Now we're going to clean this up and change it to slope-intercept form, which, don't forget, is y equals mx plus b. All right, and again, that is slope-intercept form. Okay, so we have y minus 17 equals 5 over 6 times 6, x minus 6, excuse me. Let's go ahead and distribute that 5/6 here and here. And so that's going to be y minus 17 equals 5/6 x minus 5. If you multiply 5/6 times 6, you get 5. All right, and now we are going to do the last step by adding 17, right? We need to do the opposite of minus 17, and that's going to leave us with y equals 5/6 x plus 12. And there we go. Now it is in slope-intercept form. All right, moving on to the next one. Equation of a line that is parallel to another line. So now instead of 2 points, we're dealing with a line that's parallel. So how do you find the equation of a line that's parallel? All right. So first thing I need to note is that is the equation, that is the point. Since that is the point, I'm going to label it x1, y1. All right, the next thing that I need to do is find the slope. All right, so don't forget, we can do this, all this right here, we can do that, but we're not because we have a shortcut. Remember, m equals negative a over b. That's our standard form shortcut, and this equation is definitely in standard form. That's why I'm using it. Okay, so now I'm going to set up m equals negative a over b, and I'm going to do it twice so that I can erase and replace. Okay, so first thing I need to note is that a is 3. So I'm going to erase a, and I'm going to replace it with a 3. The negative stays there because the negative was already there. B, I'm going to erase and replace it with 4 because b is 4. And there you go. There's the slope. We don't need to simplify this one because it's already in simplest form. Actually, I'm just going to highlight it so we don't forget. All right, step 2, write in point slope form. You already know. Rewrite so that we can erase and replace. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and change the color. All right, so let's go ahead and erase y1 and replace it with, what was y1 again? 5. I'm going to erase m, which was the slope, and replace it with negative 3/4. I'm going to erase x1 and replace it with negative 8. I know you see a double negative, and hold on to it. We're going to get rid of it in the next step. So I'm going to rewrite this. Y minus 5 equals 3/4. I'm sorry, that's a negative 3/4 times x minus negative 8. And don't forget, we are using slope-intercept form. We're trying to get to slope-intercept form. All right, so that means y by itself. Let's do it. First thing I need to do is get rid of that double negative. Boom, boom, change it to plus, plus. Then I'm going to distribute. So this is going to be y minus 5 equals negative 3/4 times x. And then when I distribute that to 8, that's going to be negative 6. If I multiply that by 8, I get negative 6. And left a little dot there by accident. Okay. And now I have one more step. I need to add 5 to both sides to get y by itself. And that's going to leave me with y equals negative 3/4 x minus 1. And now we are done with that guy. All right, next. Now we need to find the equation of a line that's perpendicular. So we just did parallel, now we're doing perpendicular. So I'm going to start by highlighting this, and then also by labeling my point x1, y1. Okay, and now I'm going to find the slope. So first thing I need to do, or the next thing I need to do, again, you don't have to do these steps to find slope. All you need to do is negative a over b, right? So I'm going to start with that. M equals negative a over b, and I'm going to write it again so that I can erase and replace. So this is going to be ax plus by equals c, and that's just to remind myself of what's what. All right, now what is a? A, well, let's erase and replace it. It is 2. And then b. I'm going to erase and replace that and make it negative 7. Yes, because there's a minus in front of that 7 in the original equation, you have to include it here. All right, now this is almost in simplest form, but don't forget that double negative. All right, so now that's going to be just 2 7s. All right, great. Most of you would be like, okay, cool, I'm done with this step. But honey, you forgot, this is perpendicular slope. So let's come on down here. This is to remind you that 2 7s, you need to go ahead and flip it and change the sign. Don't you forget, flip and change the sign. Flip and change sign. That's negative reciprocal, don't forget that. Next step, I'm going to rewrite in point slope form. Oops, that was supposed to be a minus, I'm going too fast. Okay, now I'm going to erase and replace. All right, so y1, let me scroll back up so I can see what it was. Y1 was 10, so I'm going to put that there. M, or the slope, is negative 7 over 2, and then x1 is negative 2. So I erase and replace that. All right, great. So I did this, I did this. Now I'm going to rewrite, and then I need to change it to slope intercept form. So y equals mx plus b form. Again, slope intercept form. First things first, get rid of that double negative. Boom, boom. And then we're going to distribute. So the next step will read y minus 10 equals negative 7 over 2x minus 7, I believe. Yep, the 2's will cancel out. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 10 to both sides so I can get rid of that negative 10. And then that's going to give me y equals negative 7 over 2x plus 3. And that's it. That's our equation. All right, guys.